So the marketing environment, I said we have the micro environment, the micro and the macro environment. Okay, the micro and the macro environment. And in the micro environment is whereby I said that we have the company, we have the suppliers and the marketing intermediaries. Okay, so and I say that the three main components of the micro environment need to work in good relationship or to ensure that there is good service to the customer and to ensure that there is profitability and each of the components benefit. Okay. And in the macro environment, we have talked about 7 forces actually: the competitive forces, demographic forces, economic, natural, technological, political, and cultural forces. These are the forces that affect the micro environment. Okay, so maybe for example, when you are talking about the competitors, when I was talking about the competitors and how the level of competition can affect what? Can affect a company, or it can make a company change its strategies. Okay, like for example, competition can make a company maybe lower its prices by default. Okay, because there is no way you can a new company can produce the same products and sell it at a lower price, and you're selling it at a higher price, and you still are expected to remain in the same level. Definitely, you'll have to a bit lower your prices to be able to mitigate that the competitor that has come to your market. So demography, we were just at demography, and of course I said that when you're thinking about demographic forces that affect the market, is basically about the age, the gender, okay, the occupation that people do. And I was talking about age to be specific, and this one I was talking about the baby boomers. Okay, so you can write it over here, the baby boomers. Okay, so the baby boomers are people who are born, okay, the people who are born between the age of 1946 and 1964. So these are people maybe in the early 50s or the late 60s, okay? And especially we can relate these ones with people maybe with our parents, or maybe with our grandparents, some of us, okay? So you'll get that these people have already worked for a longer period of time, and they have already invested a lot of money, and they have money even to be able to do things that, you know, people who are young can't be able to do. Like for example, traveling, okay? People save money just to travel, okay? For many years, you will always get that someone is saving money, and specifically just to travel. Like for example, how the Europeans do, okay? I don't know how many people have gone to the coast, or who had gone to the coast, and you noted that most of the tourists over there are older people. Anyone who was who lives in Mombasa, or someone who has gone to the coast during the peak seasons? Anyone? Use your microphones, please. Okay, and remember, I'm recording this session. It also helps someone if you with your examples. Mary, Redemptor. So what did you notice when maybe you visited the coast and most of the tourists, are they young people or old people?
But some.
Uh-huh.
They are mostly. They are older people mostly. Older
Yes.
people.
Older people. Even in the bistro, even most of the guests that you get at the bistro, Redemptor, are they people of the older generation or which kind of age can you quantify? Yes, Redemptor, you keep on going off. They all die. Okay. Okay. She's going to type for us to be able to see. So as she does that, Mary, give us a comment of the same.
Definitely, they are the old people.
Okay. Okay.
Most of them. Yeah.
Most of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So, okay. So, Redemptor, you have confirmed that they are older generation. It doesn't matter whether it is in the coast or even in our hospitality industry, and that's why you find that even our products, they are suited for the older generation. Okay, we already know who our target market is, and that's why you'll find that, for example, when you're talking about Villa Rosa Kempinski or any other hotel or maybe a sophisticated restaurant or a classy thing, okay, their target most of the time you'll find that maybe they're targeting these baby boomers. Okay, these baby boomers are the ones with the money. Okay, people who have worked, people who have invested, people who have saved their money. There are people even who buy insurance policies just for them to save money, just to travel. Okay, so this is something they have planned. Unlike when you're talking about other generations, okay, like for example, let's go to the next generation here. Generation X, okay? Let me write it for you. So we have Generation X. Just keep in mind these terms. They are very important. So we also have Generation X. Remember that the baby boomers, of course, we said that they are of the age of 1946 to around the age of 1964, okay? And the Generation X falls under the age of 1965 and 1976, okay? So these ones are like, let's say, like, for example, our, of course, we have age differences between all of us here. So some of us maybe are falling under the 65 and 76. And maybe now, maybe there's some, maybe the others who have their parents at around that age. It depends, or your sisters at that age, or your siblings at that age. So basically, at this age is whereby they are people who are working, okay? Remember the baby boomers, these ones are people who have already worked. Some of them have retired and some of them are just there, okay? They are running their own businesses, they have good money, okay? So Generation X, they are people who are actually working currently, okay? So people who are like trying to better their lives, people who are more into their job, trying to, you know, get a career advancement, trying to, you know, get a good position in their jobs. Some of them are conscious about marriage, people conscious about bringing up a family. And these people, actually, you'll find that they actually do not have money. Okay, they don't have extra money. Okay, because they are just out there just to, you know, try to fulfill their basic needs. Okay, making sure that at least they have a good house, making sure that they have, maybe they are buying those basic things like a car. They are, you know, their expense of leisure is a bit low. Okay, so basically these ones are the ones you'll always find in, maybe especially in the fast foods. And I can say they fall under the age of below 40. I think they can go at around early 30s, and maybe late 40s. They fall into that bracket. There are people still who do not have extra coin, okay, for maybe leisure. You'll always find them, like, whenever you are mentioning about maybe traveling, leisure, they find it like it's a luxury. Okay, so if you mention that, and that's why sometimes when you mention that there is a hotel which you can pay maybe per night, okay, so some figures are crazy. Sometimes you'll find that in a hotel per night you might end up paying maybe, for example, 30 to 50K per day. Okay, these people can't pay. Okay, and trust me, none of us here can even feel comfortable paying that amount of money. But the baby boomers can pay that amount of money. Okay, and that's why some hotels are just specific. Okay, they already know who their target market is. And that's why whenever you go there, trust me, the class is not for you. Okay, so you will really exhaust all your savings, not forgetting that there are people who have put insurances just to make sure that they get that kind of service. Okay, so Generation X, basically, they don't really do much of traveling, okay, because they actually do not have much money with them. And they just want things that they can pick and go. Okay, their life is so busy, they can't even go out for a vacation for like 1 month or more than 2 weeks. So they are just their main target is basically the fast foods, and that's why you always find that even if you want to start a fast food, you always have to also note the market. Okay, which market are you targeting? Is it Generation X or the baby boomers? Okay, remember, if it is the fast foods, it can actually do well, especially with Generation X. They are so busy, they are into their jobs, they just want something they can pick and go. And of course, they will want to buy something that is what? At a low price. Okay, and that's why the fast foods, you know, really do well. Especially, you can just relate it with town. And most of course, the companies that are situated around the CBD, you'll always notice that even if you walk into a fast food restaurant, you'll always find this type of age. You'll never find an old person seated, okay, maybe waiting for a pizza or waiting for a KFC chicken and something like that. You'll always find people who are maybe they are dating, people who are at their early 30s or late 20s, or below the age of 40. They are the ones who are there. So actually, advertising can go well with them. Okay, maybe if you choose a mode of advertising using the internet and so on. So you can really get a wider market with them because they will always want things that have value. Okay, if it is a pizza and you promote it, you say buy one get one free. Okay, is it buy one get one free, or how do they mention it? Yeah, I think it's that way. You buy one get one free. You'll always find them there. Okay, so they will always want to get value for the money. Anything that can save them a coin, they are in for it. Okay, so we also have Generation Y. Generation Y, I think that's where most of you fall. Generation Y, these ones are the ones that are born between 1977 and I think 2000, okay? Let us just have that figure. Or 1977 and 1994, 1999, so in between there, okay? So these are actually the young generation, okay? People who don't even fancy things with traveling. They don't fancy things with maybe matters of maybe bettering their life. Their main aim is about how they can be able to just be comfortable, okay? Maybe, for example, that's why you'll find that most of you are into maybe the latest technology, okay? Maybe having a good phone is something for you. Maybe making sure that maybe you look good, you are into fashion, that is something for you. And your main interest is actually a bit limited, okay? So things that other generations don't fancy, those are the things that you fancy. So maybe you can share with me things of your generation. What do you feel like you really like you are into? Maybe we can start with, okay, let us start. Mary, tell us, what are you into lately? Or maybe you can choose the generation you are in. Okay, maybe I haven't met all of you, so definitely I won't be knowing which generation you are in. Maybe you choose your generation. Okay, we already know all these generations, what they stand for, and the years. So tell me, you fall in generation which one?
Why?
Okay, so what are you into lately? What makes sense for you?
Music.
Yes. Okay, music. So you are into gadgets, okay?
Yeah.
Phones, screens, what specifically?
Pardon?
Which type of gadget, maybe, to be specific? To be specific, which gadget do you really fancy? Is it a phone? Is it a screen? Is it maybe a laptop, iPad, tablet?
Screen.
Okay. Judith, mention your generation that you fall.
Generation Y.
Generation Y. Okay. What is it? What are you into?
Fashion.
Fashion. Okay. You are into fashion, right?
Yes.
Did I get you clear, Judith?
Yeah.
Okay. Judith is into fashion. Okay. Anything fashion, she's in. Okay. So, Achien, which generation? Redemptor, you haven't mentioned your generation. Okay, you are generation Y. Okay, so Aching, what are you into? So Aching types. Peter, okay, you are into laptops, the latest ones. Okay, so Peter, which generation?
Y generation.
Okay, you are into Y. What are you into?
I'm actually a sports guy. Activities.
Sports, gaming. Huh? Okay, that is okay. So Mwende, type for us your generation and what you are into, because I can see that you entered into listening only. Morioki, what are you into? Which generation? Pick a generation.
Generation Y.
Okay, what are you into?
Technology like laptops and phones.
Okay, so if I want a phone, laptop, I should get, your advice.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so Jackie has disappeared. Eric, your generation and what you are into?
Generation Y.
Okay, what are you into?
Screens.
Okay, that is good. So Redemptor, you have already told me that you are into screens. So basically, I think majority of you fall under Generation Y, and you see it is actually correct because you are more into technology. Okay. So anything that will you might that can be advertised during technology with technology, you will be up for it. Okay, and that's why you see that most of the time when we are talking about e-commerce, people lately businesses are getting into e-commerce. And that's why you see that like things like Jumia, things like Kilimall, and any other. I think you should be the ones educating me on this. You'll find that you are into them. Okay, you actually know how they work more compared to Generation Y and the baby boomers. Okay, the baby boomers can't buy things from e-commerce. Okay, neither can Generation X, though some of them can, others can't. It is 50-50. But Generation Y, you are into the e-commerce, and that's why maybe when you're talking about Jumia and you're talking about Kilimall and maybe other e-shops that are there, you'll get that they are targeting Generation Y. Okay, they are targeting Generation X, half of Generation X, and mainly Generation Y. And that's why you'll find that, the market is more of things that can be bought by these two generations. But when it comes to the baby boomers, you'll never find them here. Okay? You'll never find them into technology. You'll never find them, their life is just so simple. Okay? They are just exhausted with life, and what they want is just for them to be just in somewhere that is just relaxed, comfortable, less noisy, less anything. It is good for them. Okay, so I think that is well explained when we're talking about demographic, and you'll see that it actually changes on how the market revolves around, okay, or what to sell or the products that you come up with. They'll have to suit the age that you are targeting, okay. And so basically there are others. Maybe I didn't talk about things like let's see, for example, we talked about age, we talked about gender, okay, and I think, let's say, occupation, okay. Occupation also matters a lot. So there are people like, for example, occupation is all about also where you work, the kind of salary you get. It will always influence also what you are buying, okay, definitely. So you can't get 50,000 or 30,000 or 20,000 and you are expected to buy a car, okay. So, and actually that's why you will always notice that even if the marketers, maybe the ones who are the general, who are coming to market, the General Motors and all that, they will target a specific maybe category of maybe people who are working at a certain position, okay. Maybe they will target the managers because they know the managers, maybe they're getting maybe around 100,000 and above, okay. So they know even if they're going to get a loan and buy this car, then they are able. So you'll never get someone, okay, who is trying to sell a motor, maybe a car, to someone who is maybe earning 20,000, okay, or earning less than 50,000. It is not logical, okay. Basically, those people are not able to pay their basic needs and also get some luxuries, okay. So also it helps you also to be able to know who to target. You shouldn't target the wrong people, because instead of making their lives better, you are even making them worse, okay. They might end up frustrated, not paying the loan and losing everything, okay. So that's how you're supposed to link all the forces. You're supposed to make sure that you link all the forces. Talk about, let me mention a few. Like, for example, when you're talking about technological environment forces which affect the market, especially right now, technology is affecting it is actually affecting, just leave alone the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's just focus on our industry, okay? And our industry is basically doing good, especially in terms of technology, okay? Most of the hotels have tried to comprise of maybe to maybe have technology into their hotels. They make sure, I don't know, there is a hotel that was opened, it's called along Nakuru. It's called Sarova what? Remind me the name. The one that is along Nakuru is called Sarova what? The Sarova that is near Nakuru.
Is it Sarova Woodlands?
Yes. So Sarova Woodlands, you remember the time that they were advertising, okay? They were advertising this hotel and their focus was on the technology part, okay? They could mention about how checking in has been simplified, okay? There is no paperwork. Nobody wants paperwork nowadays. People just want that whenever they're just checking in, you can just, maybe just get your biometrics and everything is done, okay? People are into technology, and also the hospitality industry is also trying to get into technology. As much as we say hospitality is not good with a lot of technology things, because also personalized service is very important, whereby you find that if I walk into a hotel, I need someone to smile at me, I need someone to welcome me, I need someone to to talk to me, make me feel comfortable, and so on. That is hospitality, okay? And so if too much technology is also comprised, like I saw some hotels, especially in Dubai, they were advertising on how, nowadays they were trying to comprise of robots, okay, trying to replace human. It cannot happen, and it will never happen. Everyone wants to feel the human feeling, okay? Someone smiling at you, a robot cannot smile at you, okay? A robot cannot feel whatever you are feeling, okay? So basically, bringing a lot of technology in the hospitality industry can also destroy the industry. So you just bring technology where it is applicable. Maybe, for example, when it comes to maybe efficiency in terms of front office, whereby you make sure that at least it is more efficient, people can check in so fast, or maybe in terms of security and the safes, okay? So you want the properties of the guests to be protected and so on. So you make sure that as much as technology is coming in, you are also trying to minimize it so that it does not replace human labor. And also when we are talking about technology in the hospitality industry, to be specific with our services, technology is also helping us in terms of marketing, okay? So nowadays, you just have to create your YouTube channel and post, okay? You just record a good video of the services that you're offering and just post them over there, or maybe try, getting people like the place, and some of them might even want to book, make reservations and stay there. So it is also changing. It is becoming a game changer, especially in the hospitality industry in terms of marketing and advertising. And also the political environment, especially the political forces, are also affecting, especially the marketing, because you can just notice on how even especially the post-election violence, okay? The post-election violence that we have been having over the years, it affects the market greatly, okay? Nobody wants to work in a market that is not stable, okay, in terms of political, where the laws are not certain, the government is also uncertain, and there's a lot of these pressures around the market. So you might find yourselves, even people, especially, and that's why when you're talking about this market, let's just try to focus more on the hospitality industry. Our industry is more, it can shake anytime, okay, with these factors, and especially political, because people want to be in an environment that they feel safe, there is stability, and so on. So as long as you will ensure that there is protection of the customers, there is protection of your company, and there is also protection of the society interest and so on, then the market can really do well, okay? So, and also cultural factors, of course. Cultural factors, for example, let's say some cultural factor I think that I've seen is about especially the Muslims working in the hospitality industry, and you find out that especially a female waiter cannot serve a male, okay? A female Muslim waiter cannot serve a what? A male. Is that true? Anyone who has any experience to be able to share with us? Whereby, I don't know if it is true, whereby a female, the Muslims do not get served by the female. Anyone who can clarify for me that one? Anyone? So no one knows. Just try going into this restaurant, especially the coastal dishes. There is a coastal restaurant in town. Okay, you can try going there. Just check it out, and you'll notice that most of the waiters, there are no female waiters actually. They are only male waiters. Okay, so it also changes the perception of the market totally. Okay, and you'll notice that even if you are going to start for example a hotel, then you have to assure that the consumers that you won't be able to employ female waitresses. Okay, for you just to be able to survive into that market, because if your target population are the people from the coast or the Muslims, then they will not come to your hotel because of their culture. Okay, unless you fire all the female waitresses and employ male waiters. Okay, so some cultures really are intense, and you also have to research well on your market to be able to make sure at least you are not out of, you don't get out so fast. Okay, so the cultures are different, they are various. So maybe you can come up with a lot of examples. Just think of other cultures and how they influence the market and so on. So maybe I touch something small on marketing information system, and then redemptors group and be able to make up their own presentation. So I want us, when you're talking about the marketing information systems, of course, this is the channel that is normally used in terms of communication. The channel that is used in terms of communication, okay? How do you relay information to the public, especially to the consumers, okay? And of course, we have the internal marketing systems, and of course, these systems are, for example, the housekeeping report. We have the financial statements. We have the daily reports from the restaurants. And remember, these internal marketing systems, of course, they are more of like reports, internal reports from each and every department, okay? And note that each and every department has to have a report, okay? At the end of the day, what were they able to do, okay? What are some of the recommendations that they came up with, and so on. So, like for example, maybe we can just have one example. Like for example, a hotel manager can use the reservations, records, and registration to aid in advertising, maybe sales, okay? Like for example, let's just give ourselves a scenario whereby the housekeeping reports had projected that maybe the coming week maybe around 100 rooms have been booked. So meaning that maybe if you had 150 rooms, 50 rooms are remaining. So at least from those records, you can be able to know that, okay, I'm going to market only for the 50 rooms that are remaining, and so on. And also from the guest history, you can be able even to know which market to target. Like for example, yes, Redemptor, you want to mention something?
No.
Okay. So maybe from the visitors, maybe records, you will notice that maybe most of the guests that you're getting are from Germany, okay? And maybe you're getting guests from Australia. Then you'll want to strengthen there, okay? Maybe you will strengthen your market by maybe advertising more in Germany, or advertising, because people maybe from Germany can be able to come there more, because already some of their maybe relatives or friends have already visited the hotel before, okay? We will also want to come there, because, and I noted that there are some hotels which are linked from a certain country. You'll find that a hotel is basically getting guests from maybe Germany, okay? Like any guest from Germany will want to book into that hotel. I don't know the relationship, okay? If it is from China, they will always want to go to a specific hotel. I'm telling you this thing for sure. If you get your market right, then you will always make much profit, okay? So these records, as a general manager, at the end of the day, they're just not there for a show. They will help you to make good strategic policies. You will make better decisions, and you are going to improve your profits at the end of the day. So you will have to ensure that these internal communication channels are followed, and they are followed by to the letter. So you always make sure that you get the guest information. It is very important. So, and I think that is one of the importance as to why we have to take the guest information each and every time that a guest comes into our hotel, okay? So, some of the things are more of the ones that you can be able to read and understand. That's why I'm trying to skip them. I want us to talk about marketing research process. Okay, the process of marketing. I don't know if whether I can be able to draw. Marketing research process. So under marketing research process, we have a whole process under it. So number one, we have you have to define the research problem and objectives. Define research problems. Dennis, you are represented where? Where are you represented? So the first process under marketing research, we have, first of all, you define, it's about defining research problems and objectives, first of all, you have to come with a problem, okay? You have to ensure that you have come up with a problem and you find a solution to that problem, okay? Maybe, for example, you can come up with objectives like explorable objectives, which mainly talks about maybe defining more on the problem and suggest hypotheses. Okay, so I think in your, is it semester what, 4 or 5 semester? You are in semester 3. I think semester 5, that's when you're going to do your research. Okay, and I think you also have a unit about research. So I think you can be able to relate it to well. So first of all, when we are talking about explorable, is whereby as one of the objectives for you to determine the problem, it helps you actually to define the problem well, okay? So maybe, for example, you want to come up with, you have a problem where maybe, for example, matters of how to maybe maintain how to maintain customer satisfaction, okay? Maybe by use of your products or maybe by improving your staff. So you really have to really go deep into the problem, okay? So basically, when you're talking about how to having a problem on how to maintain customer satisfaction, you are going to check on matters of maybe, is it the product which is the problem? Is it the staff? Is it about your maybe your brand name? Is it, you will have to really break it down, okay, and understand, okay, I have this problem and where is this problem coming from, and at least come up with at least something that you can work with, okay, and find out also the causes, okay, of that problem, okay. After you have analyzed it, you'll maybe notice maybe the products are the problem or the kind of staff who you have. And then next you'll have the you will develop the research plan. So you develop okay, Dennis, I've got you. So after you define the research problems and come up with objectives, then you will automatically develop the research plan, okay. So in the research plan, definitely you are going to check on maybe which kind of data tools you're going to use. Are you going to use maybe primary data, or are you going to check on the secondary data, okay? And make sure that all these data have to be relevant, accurate, and also not biased, okay? And you'll also want to look at the various research approaches that you're going to use, maybe in terms of are you going to use observation? Are you just going to check on how maybe the staff are treating the customers? Or are you going to use a survey? Maybe you give maybe after the customer is done, you can maybe have a survey. You ask them a few questions to be able to get the cause of the problem. And just remember, if you're going to use the observational research, you'll also try to also know its advantages and disadvantages for you to be able to ensure that you are using the right research method. Okay, and you also need also to implement the research plan and interpreting the presenting findings. So just let me write them down, all of them. You can have implementing the research plan, and of course the last one is about giving out findings, interpreting and presenting findings. So all this, it is a whole process whereby you start with, let me just draw. Okay, so it starts with defining the research problems. You go to develop the research plan, then implementing the research plan. After that, you interpret and present the findings, and those findings are the ones which are going to assist you to attain the customer satisfaction. It's just like your project, the way you are going to come up with the project and so on. Make sure you go through the notes and make sure that get the advantages and disadvantages. Make sure you go through the notes that get the advantages and disadvantages. Jackie, please mute your mic. Jackie, please mute your mic. So if you go through the notes, I'm getting an echo, that's why I really beat. Okay, it's fine. So just note that this is a whole process, and in the notes I have given, for example, if you want to use survey as a research plan or an interview mode of communication, then you will be able to have given the advantages and disadvantages, which will assist you to get to know the importance of each and every research that you might want to use in your to determine the problem. Okay, so make sure go through it. If you get any questions, then we will discuss more on those. So after process 2, you go to process 3, which is about implementing the research plan. So this is whereby the researcher is going to be able to put the research plan into action by collecting, processing, and analyzing the data. Okay, basically we use SPSS to be able to analyze the data. For example, if you collected the data using the questionnaires, do you actually do research? Have you done research? I don't want to mention some terms which are going to be a bit confusing for you. So have you done research? A unit on research? Ah, okay. So you're going to do a unit on research. This is whereby they are going to explain to you, okay, if you are to do even your project, how are you going to start by it and finish. So I don't want to enter into big terms, which will be you will be able to ask a lot of questions. Okay, so basically after you have collected your data, you will analyze it. You will use specific methods of analysis, which you'll be told in your research unit, and then you will interpret them. Okay, making sure that you interpret them well by drawing conclusions. If maybe the staff members are those who are letting down the customer satisfaction, then you will be able to get those conclusions from the data that you collected, okay? And then maybe you will see on a proper way on how to handle that, okay? You might choose to fire them, you might choose to have refresher courses for your staff, you might choose maybe to motivate them so that at least they improve the customer satisfaction. So maybe that could be your conclusion and the process will end, okay? So remember, each and every research, you really have to make sure that you get a clear meaning of the problem, okay? And after getting the clear meaning, write down the objectives. Those objectives will determine which kind of research plan you're going to take, okay? Or which kind of research tool you are going to use. And then you'll be able to implement that research plan by collecting the data and analyzing the data and getting the conclusion, okay? And you will determine the cause problem and your research is done, okay? And you will just go ahead by putting that plan into action and make sure that your customer are satisfied if that was the problem that you are trying to seek. So that small information will help you during your research, and together with the unit, they will expound it more for you. Okay, so I think I should just give group 1 the time to be able to present. I think we have covered much for today. I think we have gone past all the topics that we were supposed to cover for today. So maybe we Redemptor's group can discuss about maybe the consumer market and consumer buying behavior. Then we can conclude. So Redemptor, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, please go ahead.
Consumer market. Consumer buying behavior refers to the behavior of the ultimate customer. For example, a firm needs to analyze buying behavior for number 1, for buyers, reaction to a firm marketing strategy has a great impact on the firm's success. Number 2, the marketing concept stresses that a firm should create a marketing mix that is a 4PP that satisfies customers, therefore need to analyze what, where, when, how the customer buys. Number 3, marketers can better predict how customers will respond to marketing strategies. I went on ahead and found stages of the consumer buying process. This includes, as they have already been analyzed by the teacher, as in number 1, we have problem recognition, that is awareness of need. difference between the design state and the actual condition. This can also be stimulated by the marketer through product information, etc. Number 2, information search, which has already been discussed by the teacher. One of it is internal search, that is the memory. Another one is external search, that if you need more information. Another thing is friends and relatives, that is by word of mouth. A marketer-dominated sources, comparison, shopping. Another point is also public sources, etc. For example, a successful information search leaves a buyer with the possible alternatives. For example, when somebody wants to eat, usually a company, maybe let's take for example our hotel industry, where a customer needs to eat and she's given alternative food or choices. As we have a Chinese food, we have Indian food, we have a Burger King. Now it's your choice to decide which food do you want to take or to eat. Another one is evaluation of alternatives. There is need to establish criteria for evaluation, features the buyer wants and does not want. This automatically features what the buyer wants and what does not want. For example, we take it in rank, alternatives, or resume search. May decide that you want to eat something spicy. Maybe a guest may decide to want to eat something spicy. For example, you can go for, if you want something spicy, you can go for Indian dishes. Mostly Indians, they like spicy things like pepper, they want chilies in their food. If you are not satisfied with your choice, then return the search phase. That is, you can look or think of another restaurant. Another one, you can maybe look something on a yellow pages nowadays on the internet, where you can go and take something to eat where you like and where is comfortable for you. Another point, number 4, is purchase decision. You should choose buying alternative, which includes products, package, store, method of purchase, and so many others. Number 5 is purchase. Purchase may differ from decision, time lapses between 4 and 5 products availability. Number 6 is post-purchase evaluation, that is now the outcome. The outcome after all the stages you have gone before buying an item. The outcome can either be satisfaction or dissatisfaction. You can either be satisfied or dissatisfied from the stages you have gone through before somebody decides to buy something. Those are some of the stages somebody or someone can go through before you come to an outcome of buying an item for you. Now, I went on ahead and found types of consumer buying behavior. Types of consumer buying behavior are determined. These types of buying behavior are determined by the following. 1, the level of involvement in purchase decision. 2, buyer's level of involvement determines why she or she is motivated to seek information about a certain product and brands but virtually ignores others. Now, these are the types which have been determined. One of the type is routine response, that is programmed behavior. This whereby buying low involvement, frequently purchase low cost items. Need very little search and decision effort. Purchase almost automatically, for example, soft drinks, snacks, food, or milk. You can purchase without even thinking, what is this? As long as you have a need to buy something to eat of a low choice. 2, limited decision making. We have items before you buy. You have to think about it. That is buying a product occasionally. That means you buy things that you can buy occasionally. When you need to obtain information about an unfamiliar brand in a familiar product category. Perhaps it requires a moderate amount of time for information gathering. For example, clothes. You know products class but not the brand. Maybe for maybe a piece of cloth. You know the product class, but you don't know the brand of a particular cloth. Point 3, as a type of consumer buying behavior, it's an extensive decision making, whereby unfamiliar, expensive, or infrequently bought products. This requires a high degree of economic or performance. For example, when you think of buying a car, a home, a computer, or go further ahead on further studies, maybe doing PhD, master's degrees, it usually spends a lot of time seeking for information and deciding on which particular item to do or to buy. Also, information from the company's marketing mix, friends and relative store, personal, go through all these 6 stages of buying processes. Number 4, impulse buying, no conscious planning. The purchase of the same product does not always elicit the same buying behavior. A product can shift from one category to the next. For example, going out for dinner for one person may be extensive decision making for someone that does not go out. For someone who does not go out oftenly at all. But it's limited decision for making for someone else who goes out frequently. The reason is for the dinner, whether it's an anniversary, celebration, or a meal with a couple friend, will also be determined by the extent of decision making. My friend Peter will go through the categories that affect consumer buying, or factors that affect consumer buying. I think he can go through them, but they have already been analyzed by the teacher. Peter, to you, back to you.
I will do the importance.
Okay, let me go to continue with the factors affecting consumer buying.
Okay.
The marketers must be aware of these factors in order to develop. The marketers must be aware of these factors in order to develop an appropriate marketing mix for its target market. Number 1 is personal. Unique to a particular person, that is demographic factors, which include sex, race, age, etc. Who in the family is responsible for the decision making? You people people purchase things for different reasons than older people. I mean, young people purchase things for different reasons than older people. We have psychological factors. Under psychological factors, we have motives. A motive is an internal energizing force that orients a person activities towards satisfying a need or achieving a goal. Actions are affected by a set of motives, not just one. If marketers can identify motives, then they can better develop marketing mix. This takes us back to the Maslow hierarchy of needs, whereby we have psychological, we have safety, love and belonging, esteem and self-realization or actualization. Need to determine what level of the hierarchy the consumer are to determine what motive their purchase. Number 3, as a psychological factor, you have perception, whereby perception is the process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting information inputs to produce meaning. That is, we choose what info we pay attention to, organize it, and interpret it. Information inputs are the sensations received through sight, taste, hearing, smell, and touch. We have selective distortion, that is changing, twisting current received information in consistent belief. Advertisers that use comparatives, advertisements pitching one product against another, have to be very careful that consumers do not distort the facts and perceive that this advertisement was for the competitor. That is one of the example of the current. That is the example of the current statistics that we have today. Then we have a selective retention. This is remembering inputs that support beliefs, forgets those that do not. Interpreting information based on what is already familiar, on knowledge that is stored in the memory. Number 4, as a psychological factor, you have ability and knowledge. There is need to understand individuals' capacity to learn. Learning changes in a person's behavior caused by information and experience. Therefore, to change consumers' behavior about your product, you need to give them information about the product, free samples, etc. Knowledge is the familiarity with the product and expertise. In experience, buyers often use prices and indicator of quality more than those who have knowledge of product. Mostly, in most cases, customers knows. Even, for example, let's take example, when you go to a supermarket, maybe you are looking for something. You will find this thing is of a higher price compared to this. Mostly people look for those things which of a higher price. They think that they have a higher value than this of a low price. Another example is an alcoholic beer, for example. A consumer can choose the most expensive pack because they consume that the greater price indicates greater quality. Learning is a process through which a relative permanent change in behavior results from the consequences of the past behavior. Another factor under psychological is attitudes. Knowledge and positive, negative feelings about an object or activity may be tangible or intangible, living or non-living. It's a drive perception. Individuals learn attitudes through experience and interaction with other people. Consumer attitudes towards a firm and its product greatly influence the success of or failure of the firm's marketing strategy. Attitudes and attitude change are influenced by consumer personality and lifestyle. We have the personality areas that make a person unique. Uniqueness arises from a person's heredity or personal experience. For example, compulsiveness, self-confidence, friendly, ambitiousness, etc. The traits affect the way people behave. Marketers try to market the store image to the perceived image of their consumers. There is a weak association between personality and buying behavior. This may be due to unreliable measures. Consumers buy products that are consistent with their self-conception. Another thing is lifestyle, whereby lifestyles are the consistent patterns people follow in their lives, e.g. healthy foods for healthy lifestyle, and so many others. Another factor that affects consumer buying decision process is a social factor, whereby consumer wants, learning, motives, etc. are influenced by opinion leaders, persons, family, reference groups, social class, and culture. Back to you, Peter. Peter. Peter.
Okay. Okay, I look at the importance of consumer behavior. And I'll start. Due to the changing fashion, technology, trends, living style, disposable income, and similar other factors, consumer behavior also changes. So I'll also look at the importance of the consumer behavior. And number one is consumer differentiation. Under consumer differentiation, we have consumer from several other consumers help us to target group of consumers with the similar behavior. When a marketer is knowledgeable about differentiation of each group of consumers, he can design separate marketing programs. That is importance number one of consumer differentiation. The second importance is retention of consumers. Under retention of consumers, when a customer is happy about a particular product, he or she will repeat the purchase. Therefore, marketing the product should be done in such a way that it will convince customers to buy the product again and again. This is evident that creating customer and retaining them is very important in an organization. Also, this can be done only by understanding and paying attention towards the consumer's buying behavior. If you understand the pattern of a consumer, the way he buys, it's easy to retain the customer. Another importance number 3, design relevant marketing program. To study the consumer behavior enables the marketers to understand what motivates the consumers to make purchases. Furthermore, the same motive can be utilized in advertising through the media to desire more purchases from the consumers. Importance number 4 is predicting market trends. Under marketing trend, by conducting consumer behavior study, a company saves a lot of resources that might otherwise be allocated to produce a product that will not be sold in the market. For example, for predicting a market trend, in a summer, a brand will not waste its resources for producing a product that will not sell in a summer. Another one is based on consumer behavior, the company decides on production strategy, which will save on warehouse costs and marketing costs. Under this, predicting market trend is knowing which products to sell during seasons. Importance number 5 is competition. Under competition, as an entrepreneur, you have to find out answers to some of the questions that the consumer have when purchasing some of their product or services. You also have, as a consumer, you have to ask yourself what the consumer is buying from your competitor, so as to know what the customer is likely to seem good from your company or the others. Another question you should ask yourself: why is the consumer buying from your competitor? If you want to succeed. Yeah, and another importance of the consumer behavior is know how to innovate new products. As an entrepreneur, and companies consistently strive hard to improve the success rate of their new products or new ideas. One of the most important ways is to conduct sound and thoughtful consumer behavior study. If you innovate new ideas or products in your organization or company, you seem to attract more customers coming in. Importance number 7: stay relevant in the market. The main reason towards rapid changes is the ever-changing behavior of our customers. Today's customers have greater choices and opportunities, which means they can easily switch to a company that offers better products and services. For example, this Sony Walkman, the item for listening to music. Sony Walkman do not stay relevant in the company because it did not have the idea to improvise the Sony Walkman in the digital music era. Another example is the taxi industry. Taxi industry failed when the Uber industry came in. The taxi never had the idea that the Uber came with through the digital means of attaining a taxi. Importance number 8: improve customer service. Improve customer service. For example, if you own an electronic store, or if you own an electronic store, most of the customers there are high school students or college students who may opt to buy laptops, and when they purchase a laptop, you are as a seller, you're most likely to understand the features of all the items you are selling. So you have to show them how maybe it's supposed to be done, how it's functioning, its system, etc., so that you can improve the customer service at your businesses. Also, the service goal will provide information about the latest trends in technology. The more you have to do some researches if you own an electronic store, so that you may educate the customer of more upcoming technologies devices. In my conclusion about the importance, I have an example in my conclusion. A company like Coca-Cola, they have consistently improved in its existing products and are focused on developing new products over year by year again. I think I'm done with the importance. That's all. My colleague are done enough. That's all I have.
Okay. Teacher, we are done. Back to you.
Okay, that is good, Redemptor and Peter. It's well understood. So, any questions for them? Any questions that you have for Redemptor and Peter about the consumer buying behavior? So, Cynthia didn't join you today?
We didn't find her.
Okay. So, any questions? Was it well understood? Okay, silence also means that everyone is okay. So they have talked much about the buying behavior, and I got to record them. So definitely you can go back to this recording and maybe get clarifications. Okay, so I want to talk about just a preview of what they have talked about the consumer buying behavior. This is a habit that all of us have, okay? Like even for us to even decide to buy something, okay? It takes a whole lot of energy behind, okay? So specific, I think Redemptor talked about the model of consumer buying process, right?
Right.
Okay. So I think this is a habit that this is a model actually most of the people normally use, especially number one, you have to recognize a need for something, first of all, okay? After you have recognized the need, like for example, you decide that, okay, I want a phone, and that's a need, okay? First of all, you want it for communication, you need it for other social things that you want to do it with. You go researching about the type of phone you want, okay? For instance, maybe you want an iPhone or you want maybe an Android phone, then you will have to research on the pros and the cons, the kind of features it has, or even the prices, of course. It's also a factor which can even actually make you buy it or not to buy it. And such research, you can either get it through various sources. Maybe you can get it maybe personal, through friends. Okay, you can get it through your neighbors, acquaintances. Maybe they can share you with information on the kind of phones they have, and maybe you might, okay, I think the iPhone is better. You can even see it and see how it works, and maybe they can even give you their own suggestion, okay, about it. And also you can get it, you can get such information from commercial sources, of course, from advertisements, the way you just, maybe you just go through the Facebook and you get, okay, there is this techno come on, I don't know which one, that is the late one. So they are advertising, or maybe you can see the displays, you can see the packages, and it wows you. And maybe you can consider buying through the commercial sources and also through the public places, okay? So the public places may basically is more of reviews, okay? Like for example, you go searching on maybe something on the Google about maybe an Android phone, and you will always see reviews. People give reviews, and which is very important. People buy due to reviews, and everyone can agree with me, okay? So when you see someone, of course, whenever you have seen something good, you'll always want to hear the comments, okay? What are people saying about it? Is it working for them? Did they find it, good as they are advertising? And if you see that most of the people are really giving it a thumbs up, then you might even think of buying it, okay? So those are some of the sources that you're going to use to carry out your research. And remember that word of mouth is usually I think word of mouth plays a very big role in terms of convincing someone to buy, okay? And especially word of mouth, is actually more of a service product, okay? Especially if it is a hotel industry. Hotel industry is normally marketed more on the word of mouth. A word of mouth is more convincing. Of course, it has low cost. You don't even pay for someone to convince the other person, because at the end of the day, if you get a good service, you will automatically market someone without even them paying you. Okay, if you use maybe like for example, you buy maybe a very nice sneakers, you will really love them. Every other time your friends ask you about those sneakers, you'll be like, oh my goodness, these sneakers are so good. I bought them from Mr. Price. They are so cheap, they are cost effective, they're so comfortable. Without knowing, you have already marketed the sneakers, okay? So the word of mouth is very important, and especially a lot of people are trying to go that way, making sure that the customers are satisfied. And when the customer is satisfied, definitely your products are going to be marketed without any cost, okay? Okay, I think I'll take this call later. So after you have done your thorough research, looking at all those sources of information, then you will come to evaluate all the alternatives you have, okay? After you have checked out the techno, you have checked out maybe, for example, the iPhones, the Androids, all the brands, okay? And maybe you start narrowing them down, okay? Okay, these phones are good, but at the end of the day, I just have this amount of money. So you'll keep on narrowing down. You'll cancel the iPhone, probably. You're going to cancel all the phones until you meet at least a standard range of money that you have, and yet still have a good phone at the end of the day. So you will have to evaluate all the alternatives that you have. Then you'll go ahead and purchase. You'll definitely go and take a purchase decision. You'll buy something that you prefer. Okay. And definitely, if you like it, then definitely you'll give your feedback, either positive and negative. I think Redemptor talked about that. And so what are some of the possible actions that are taken by dissatisfied customer? That is very important. As we are learning marketing, as much as we want positive information or feedback, we also have to make sure that we are careful with also negative, okay? Negatives can also ruin the entire brand without knowledge. And that is something that we should not take for granted. And so possible actions which the customers can actually take is they can be able to return the product. Trust me, if the product you bought is not good, you will definitely take it back. Okay, and that's why we always want to buy something that has a warrant. Okay, so if you're dissatisfied with that thing, you will always return it back in case. And number two, there will be complaints to the company. So you'll notice that, okay, I bought this thing, but maybe it is so weak, it broke down even within 2 days of usage. So you'll keep on complaining to the company. You'll use even their social medias, about mouthing how bad the equipment is. And also other people can go an extra mile to ask for refund or exchange. Okay, so you'll say, okay, this one, I think the one that I selected was bad, so maybe can I get another one? Okay, and there are others who are even worse. They will even take you to court. Okay, that shows a very dissatisfied customer. So meaning maybe if is something that they consumed which went bad with their health, and that's why sometimes you find out that I think there was a lady, a lady caterer who was offering her services, especially to some consumers who were at Karen. I don't know if it was a wedding or a party or a meeting. I don't know which kind of event they had, but the guests really complained about stomachache, diarrhea. They were really in a bad shape. Okay, so actually there are people who sued the lady. Okay, and I don't know how the case went, but I think she is not in operation. Okay, if you get a lawsuit, then it means that even your business is closed down and they take the license away. And that's why you should always be careful. Okay, as much as you're giving these services out to the customers, there are some customers who react differently, and some go even to an extra mile, even to make you will even regret why you even started that business. Okay, so to be on the safe side, you always make sure that you monitor each and every process and make sure that even that end product or service that the guest is going to get, it is really flawless. Okay, and others go ahead and stop purchasing the product. Actually, I am one of them who I think I fall into this category. I stop purchasing the product at all. Immediately I buy a product and it does not work out for me, I stop. Okay, it does not matter whether you are going to to sweet talk me, or maybe you are going to assure me of a refund or whatever. I actually stop buying the product. Okay, so there are other people who are like me, I think so, who really feel like as much as you have really gone down on your standards, they will automatically stop. Okay, so the others who keep on complaining, of course, to the organization for them to at least get a solution or get a compensation out of it. And others actually go on discouraging friends and families. Hey, as much as they used to talk something good about a certain product or a brand or a service, then they will use the same positive words in a negative way to discourage each and every person. Okay, you mentioned maybe about maybe a Coca-Cola product, they are like, oh my goodness, don't even dare buying it. Okay, they will give you scenarios of whatever that happened to them and all that, and definitely it will really discourage you from buying that product. Okay, so it is very important, as much as for us to be able to know that our customers will buy from us, but you have to ensure that you offer quality products, okay? It's not about you increasing your sales, but at the end of the day, you have to maintain your customers, okay? And that's why it feels so bad when someone just comes up with something that is not quality into the market, and they really just bring things that are not there to be sustained, okay? Someone just comes up with a product that is not of good quality, and they're just there just to make some profits for a day, but they are not there to stay in the market. But if your target is to stay in the market, you have to ensure that, first of all, think about the customer, okay? The first customer who bought from you is the customer who is going to bring almost 10 to 20 customers again. Okay, and maybe in the duration of 10 or 20 years that you're going to be in the market, they are going to be your loyal customers. So at the point of nurturing that product and bringing it to the market, you have to have the mindset of the customer who is going to buy it. So I think that is very important for you to note, just in case you come across such complaints, especially when you find yourself in the industry. Treat complaints so delicate, okay? It's very important to handle a problem immediately it rises. So I want us to talk on the organizational behavior, something small, and then as we wind up, we're also out of time. So as much as we have talked about the consumer buying behavior, we also have organizational behavior, okay? Organizational buying decisions, okay? What are some of the decisions that organizations put forward before they even purchase a certain product or a service? Just want to move on fast on that. So they also have processes that go in to ensure that at the end of the day, the organization makes a good decision. Just for example, let's say that you're working maybe in a bank, or you're working in maybe, let's say, any other maybe company other than a hotel, and maybe, for example, you want to get maybe a service or a product from a certain supplier, then definitely, number one, you will have to check on this grid framework, which is, number one, you have to recognize the problem, okay? You are going maybe to come up with maybe to list on some of the things that you could want from the suppliers, okay? Whether it is a product or a service, which kind of service do you want, okay? Okay, so basically you will have to come up with maybe the type of service that you really want, maybe from maybe a specific sales representative who was offering that service. Then get a general need description. Definitely after that, you'll be able to maybe determine whether it is a training meeting which you want to maybe put up in a certain hotel, okay? And that's why I'm telling you that nowadays people are into meetings, okay? If it is a meeting, they will always want to like go out, have a meeting maybe in a specific hotel, have it in an open place whereby they can eat, they can bond, they can make even better decisions than just being in the same environment. So basically, if it is a training meeting, maybe, for example, it is a refresher course or something that some staff may be wanting to get, then maybe they can get that one from a specific hotel. That they will make sure that at least there is a general need description in terms of maybe are they getting the food, and Are they getting beverages? Are they getting a meeting space? Okay, are there audiovisual requirements? Okay, they will think about the coffee breaks and accommodation if the meeting is going to take even more than 2 or 3 days. Okay, so basically, are they going to get all these things in one place? And that's why some of the hotels are trying to expand to make sure at least they have even meeting spaces, they have grounds to be able at least to meet the demand that is emerging out in the market space, okay? So after that, they will be able to check on the product specification, okay? So the product specification hereby is whereby they are going to negotiate also with the hotel or the sales representative or the marketer of the hotel to make sure that at least all this, the hotel is capable to be able to give all the services that they will be requiring. Okay, remember that the meetings and any other conventions that are normally held in the hotel, the marketing team has to have an upper hand. They are the ones who arrange for each and everything that will be able to happen. Okay, so and they will be able to liaise also with the people who are under the Department of Food and Beverage. Food and Beverage Department, and also accommodation in that regard. So after the product specification, they will talk about the supplier search, whereby they will be able to, as much as they have maybe had their own specifications and they already know what they want, they will at least try to check around and see whether maybe even the quotations, are they, you know, meaningful. Okay, what about maybe familiar hotels of the same kind? What are they offering? Okay, they will do their own research, of course. They will Google, they will do phone calls, they will want to inquire, they will see whether they will get better pay, and so on. And after maybe they get a specific maybe supplier of the same needs that they want, they will make a proposal for them. Definitely they will have to write a presentation of all the requirements they will want for such an event, and to be able at least to get into an agreement with maybe the supplier or the hotel that is going to offer those services for them. So for the supplier selection, there are some things that the meeting planner or the organization has to consider. Number one, of course, they will have to look on the sleeping rooms. They will have to select, you know, something that suits even the positions of the employees who are going to go into that meeting. They will check on the meeting room, how big it is or how small it is, depending on the number of participants. And they will check on the food and the beverages. Of course, the food should be offered something that everyone can be able to eat. Okay, it's palatable for everyone, something that everyone can be able to drink. And also the billing procedure. Remember, there are people who can pay cash, there are people who can pay through the credit card, or people can pay through the checks. So they will have also to check whether the billing, okay, how long can they even pay it? There are people who pay at the end of the month. These big organizations, they come, but you know, make the payments at the end of the month. So are the suppliers or the hotels able to receive that kind of billing? And what about check-in and check-out? Remember, each and every hotel, I think when we were talking about low unit, we talked about different contracts. Remember, the checking in for Sarova Stanley cannot be, maybe sometimes it is not the same as the checking in of maybe Kempinski Hotel. Okay, so you'll have to check on the checking in, whether is it maybe favorable, is it something that everyone can be able to get there at the same time. What about checking out? There are some hotels which are so specific. You should be out of the room by 11, or others go until 12, or others maybe with better negotiations, maybe they can be able to prolong it. So it depends, okay, on how you are going to be able to, is it flexible? And the staff, how friendly are the staff, okay? And also it depends also with the kind of staff also who are working there. Of course, are they patient people? It also depends. If it is a high class kind of, maybe people who are coming, sophisticated kind of people, then also the people who are going to also serve them should be also people who are a bit, catching up with them, okay? You shouldn't just be put someone maybe in the front office who is not even able to speak French. And that's why sometimes these languages play a key role. Okay, sometimes we might just maybe wonder, why should I even learn French or German or any other, foreign languages? Sometimes these languages go in are very important. Sometimes you might just receive guests who are normally Spanish, who are French. So we need someone who at least who can interpret, or who can make the guests feel comfortable, at least when they're talking, they don't feel out of place and so on. So the staff also need, they need also to have a small background check on the staff to make sure that at least the people who are going to tend to them, they are people who are up to the task. Okay, so those are some of the the buying decisions that an organization can take through. So just make sure that you go back to them again. There are so many. So remember that a hotel or a big business, okay, just does not even make a decision just to buy to go to maybe a specific hotel just by chance. Okay, there are so many things that they have to consider. Okay, a lot of negotiations happen, and remember, these meetings always happen even before 6 months, even before them coming, 6 months. So it is something that they have been planning. They even have to budget for it, for them to be able to make sure that at least everything runs smooth. So I think we should wind up. Unless there is any question. Any question?